Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucks Nation? It's time to party, baby.
Well, my friends, that did not take long, did it? I mean, my goodness. Oh, man. I get here to USF, and then here we go. The big deal, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Seattle Kraken. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I say I can't believe it, but I can believe it. This is what Julien Brisebois does. He is not afraid. Screw your damn picks. He don't care. He's going out there and he's trying to make this team better. And that's exactly what he has done with this deal. Erik Erlendsson is going to join us here momentarily. He's finishing up writing. I'm here at USF. Let me clean my screen off a little bit here for you guys to make sure we're all good. But this is the exact type of move that we were discussing all day on the show. And again, I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not one of those people that is just going to say random shit and, blowing smoke up your ass. No. We are here. We are talking about this deal. Hold on. I'm just trying to make sure. There we go. Okay. Getting out on all social right now because it is wild. What are your takes on the deal to reacquire Yanni Gourde? He is back with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter/X. Leave your questions, comments, concerns there at the bottom. Double E will join us here momentarily. Tampa Cup run. Here we go. Stephanie, April, Bucks, Rays, Bolts, the entire crew. So here is the entire crux of the deal. We have, and this is from the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bolts acquire Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand plus a 5th-round pick in 2026 for a 1st-round pick in 26, a 1st-round pick in 2027, Toronto's 2nd-round pick in 2025, and Mikey Eyssimont. And the more and more we were discussing this deal, when Elliot Friedman came out and let everybody know a little while ago, the more you look at a guy like Mikey Eyssimont and you say, might be a little bit redundant there. Might be a little bit redundant because when you see Mikey Eyssimont, when you see Yanni Gourde, it's kind of the same guy, right? You're hoping that you get a little bit more of a scoring punch from Yanni Gourde, and I think that's exactly what you're going to get. It is a huge win for the Tampa Bay Lightning to bring a guy of the pedigree of a Yanni Gourde back home. He looked great in his return from the IR. I know he wasn't 100% dealing with the injury, but this is a guy that's going to be rejuvenated, revitalized. He's an unrestricted free agent after the season, but you have to think if he's going to continue to play next year in the National Hockey League, chances are it's going to be with the Bolts, and they'll find a way to be able to keep him here. Remember, the Lightning didn't want to get rid of him in the first place. He, unfortunately, a cap casualty. He was a part of what happened with the expansion draft. If it wasn't him, it would have been a Palat, it would have been a Killorn, it would have been somebody, right? But when you look at the players going out, it was just Mikey Eyssimont and a bunch of draft picks. And when you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning and where they're going to draft over the next couple of years, I can tell you for a long time, Julien Brisebois has looked at these draft picks and has said, Jay, I know how much these draft picks are going to cost, like almost down to the goal, down to the assists, down to the points, down to the games played. He says, hey, usually a 28th overall pick late in the 1st round is going to give you X amount of games. He was like, oh, it's 320 games. Like, dude, if you're going to have a pick like that and it's not going to turn into a guy that's going to be a big time factor when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, hell, man, make a deal like this. We don't want to just sit here on the sideline where everybody else is making deals. And again, these are the kind of deals that help you win. These are the kind of deals that really pay off in the long run. Because when you look at the winners at the trade deadline, it's very rare that those are the teams that are going to be the champs at the end. That'll be the last team standing. Not when you make deals like this. Not when you make deals to fortify your middle six. And we'll bring in our good pal, Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com. Long time no speak, my good friends.
I was thinking the same thing.
My goodness, it didn't take long. We just spoke about it. Again, for those just joining us, here is the crux of the entire deal. No shortage of capital going either way, but the Lightning reacquire fan favorite Yanni Gourde. They also bring in a guy like Oliver Bjorkstrand, who was a killer, a backbreaker when he was with Columbus. He had the Lightning's number, especially in that series in 2019. They also get a 5th-round pick from Seattle, but going to the Kraken, 2 first-round picks, a 2nd-round pick, and Mikey Eyssimont. And Eric, I think when you bring Gourde back, Eyssimont is kind of redundant, but man, a huge swing for Julien BriseBois, getting another member of the band back together. And in classic JBB fashion, he doesn't wait right until the deadline. If he sees a move and there's an ability to go get a player, he does it, even if it's a day or two before. Julien not messing around, trying to make this team better for the 2025 playoff run.
All you got to do is just like read between the lines sometimes of what Julien says. Like, he said it many times that he owes it to this core to give them as many kicks at the can or, chances at the cup as they deserve. And to me, like everything we talked about earlier, the Yanni Gourde, nothing's changed.
Right.
But the piece here is Bjorkstrand.
Yep.
Right. Because he's got another year left on his contract. He's a perfect middle 6 fit kind of guy.
Yep.
He can play on the power play and he can pop in some goals and, and we know Yanni Gourde, who he is. He's not the same type of player, but we know what he brings to the ice. And, we said many times that Mikey Eyssimont was Yanni Gourde light. He was Yanni Gourde without the 20-goal potential. So it's kind of an even swap there. Big difference in salary, obviously. But yeah, I mean, if you want to shore up everything that this team can be, then this is a type of move that we shouldn't be surprised that, Julien makes. And, people will dissect the draft picks and everything else. And yeah, you give up draft capital. It's the price of trying to win.
Yes.
And
price worth paying, Eric.
Yes, absolutely. Because, whatever first round draft pick, if it's 25, 26, 27, those players probably are not going to help Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, and Andrei Vasilevsky win a cup.
Right.
It's just the reality of it. And look, at some point, you're going to be a team on the decline. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. We've seen it with Chicago. We see it with Pittsburgh. It's going to happen, but it's not here yet. And, you think again to everything that Julien and his staff have done since really 2020. And really, I mean, look at this roster right now compared to 2022 when they made the Stanley Cup final. How many players are still here? And yet they're just as competitive as they have been.
Right.
And you can point to the 2 first-round exits the last couple of years. I get it, but it's hard to win in the playoffs. It's hard. And sometimes you have to have things go your way. Think about it. In 2022, Toronto was easily the better team in that 7-game series against Tampa Bay. They found a way to win it. The next year when these two teams met, Tampa Bay was the better team, but it was Toronto that won it. So anything can happen in the postseason. So what you do now is you give yourself the best chance to try and win right now, because that's the goal, is to win as many cups and to compete for as many cups as possible with this core that you have. And Oliver Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gourde right now give you that chance.
I agree with you. And I like the aggression with Julien BriseBois and being able to identify what he wanted to do to make this team better. I also tweeted out a little while ago, is that if the rumors of Julien being as aggressive as he is is this the last deal that he makes? And I just don't know. I don't know. And I know you bring in 2, you get rid of Eyssimont, But I feel like there's another move to be made, whether it's another depth guy, whether it's a defenseman. Do you think the Lightning stop here? Or do you think they make another move? Because we're hearing from multiple sources, whether it's a Saravalli or Elliot Friedman or a Pierre LeBrun, that he is being very, very aggressive. And if that's the case, I don't think it stops here.
Well, there's no doubt he'll try. I think, as we discussed earlier, I think at least trying to find a defenseman has to be on his radar. Right. Just maybe a more solid, reliable number 5 guy. Because let's not forget, Emil Lilleberg is 24 years old.
Right.
This is really his first full year in the NHL. Radish is a little bit older, obviously. His game has come a long way. I mean, he was the odd guy out for a good part of the first start of the beginning of the season. He was the guy that sat out more. He's become a little bit more reliable defensively. So that's a good sign. But, he is an offensive defenseman, and that's the strength of his game, especially that shot that he has. Perbix, I wonder if we've reached a ceiling with Nick Perbix. He was so good his rookie year and so solid and so poised with the puck. But, he just hasn't been that same type of player. And, he was the guy that sat out last night. So, I would have to think that finding a more veteran, hard to play against defenseman as your number 5 is probably on their radar. Whether you can find that or not, and what does it take to get it to happen, right? You've already given up 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick in this deal, so you don't have that sort of home run hit or that swing for the fences type of deal. But, you have some depth pieces. You have another second-round pick this year. You had 2 going into this draft. So there are still things that Julian can play around with. And, we saw, Atkinson officially be assigned to Syracuse in the Logan Brown transaction as well. So there is still some cap space and some, roster flexibility that Julian has looking ahead to, Friday at 3:00.
I know if there's going to be people looking against this move, Double E, they'll say, wow, that is a pretty steep price to pay. Paying 2 first-rounders, a second-rounder, and a player. You're going to get a 5th-round pick back yet, but their next first-round pick after this deal now is 2028, trading the 26 first-rounder, 27 first-rounder. We know when we're talking about picks and how Julian views them, and I said that before you joined me, like Julian's told us in the past, he knows exactly how much a pick is worth. He knows that it's worth 433 games in the NHL and an average of 78 points. Like, he knows that kind of stuff. He's a freak of nature when it comes to things like that, which is why he's one of the greatest GMs in the game right now, regardless of the sport. But is there some semblance of, hey, they paid a steep price for this for a guy that, Bjorkstrand, he is what he is. He's a middle 6 guy. Right. He's going to be a 50, 60 point guy. Possibly. He does have term left. He's got a year, another year after this one, 5.4 million, but you're also trading for, whether you want to call it a nostalgic piece or not, but Yanni Gourde, who's an unrestricted free agent after the season. So do you think there could be a way where that they possibly may have overpaid a little bit here?
I mean, can we talk in June?
Yeah. Right.
Look, if they get, it's just the nature of the beast. And this is why there's so much pressure on general managers and decision makers, is you have to make these moves based on a forecast. And it'll be easy for us to sit back and talk about it after the fact, right? If they lose in a first round matchup against the Florida Panthers again, everybody will say you paid way too much. And look, where did it get you? But if they go on to win the cup, look, everybody thought it was an overpayment for Brandon Hagel.
Right.
Different situation. Hagel was a younger player, on the ascension, and with Gourde and Bjorkstrand, what you're bringing in and who you have. They're established players. We all thought that they overplayed for Barclay Goodrow. Deliver them a couple of Stanley Cup championships. And, people look at Tanner Jeannot. Well, you overpaid for that one, but yeah, Duck.
Yeah.
If they had won a cup with Tanner Jeannot, we wouldn't be saying that. So it's easy to say it's an overpayment now. It'll be easy to say it's an overpayment if that things don't go their way once you get to the postseason. But if it results in what you hope it ends up at the end of the season, then it's not an overpayment because it helped win you a cup. So there will be 15 teams that make the playoffs. It'll be said they overpaid for whatever they get at the trade deadline. Right. and only one team is going to say, yep, we paid the perfect price because it won us a cup.
Again, for those just joining us, Tampa Bay Lightning acquire Yanni Gourde and Oliver Bjorkstrand. They also get a 5th-round pick as well. They trade 2 first-rounders, a 2nd-rounder, and Mikey Eyssimont heading back the other way. And again, just, we appreciate everything for Mikey Eyssimont. He's not a guy that never brought. He's just such a hard-nosed dude. He left everything out there on the ice, didn't he, Double E? But we, like you just said, he was kind of Yanni Gourde light, and unfortunately, he's going to be part of this deal. And you kind of look at, you tip your hat. We'll just let's say something real quick about Mikey Eyssimont, just showing him a little love here.
Feisty player, feisty. You loved the type of player that drags guys into the fight a little bit with the way that he plays. Not afraid to get to the dirty areas, not afraid to mix it up. Wasn't Yanni Gourde in the fact that he would come out of a scrum smiling, as Yanni always did, but he was never afraid to kind of stick his nose in there. And he was just the way that he could get under the opponent's skin. And, I witnessed him coming off the ice a couple of times, just PO'd, with the way things had kind of gone. And that's just who he is. It's just, he plays with that type of emotion. And, that was a good little trade that they made, and he has been playing well. I mean, he's scored a couple of goals here down the stretch and been involved in a couple of plays. I mean, you think back to the goal he scored the other night. I was against the Edmonton, right? The one that he scored that Gonsalves set him up. So he's got some game. He's got some game that he can play. But we knew if you were going to bring in 2 players that somebody off the roster was going to have to go. And it ends up being Eyssimont. So appreciated what Mikey Eyssimont did while he was here. And if anybody knows his story, right, like he has Crohn's disease, what a inspiration he is to anybody. Because we had a family friend that had Crohn's disease growing up, and it's not easy to deal with, irritable bowel syndrome and all that. So he's kind of dealt with that, and what an example he is for anybody that's in that situation. So a lot of appreciation for Mikey Eyssimont.
A lot of love for that guy. He went to a lot of the dirty areas, and even if he didn't always get rewarded with a goal, it didn't stop him from, trying to go around the net and, dropping the gloves even when he had to. All right, let's look at how the lines could look now, Double E. Obviously, it's just speculation, but we know what the first line is going to look like. We have Braden Point in the middle with Jake Gentz on the left, and now Nikita Kucherov on the right. And, we'll work together on this. What do we think that let's just say, obviously they go 12-6 and they're not going to make another move. You and I get together and let's try to put together what this 2nd, 3rd, and 4th line is going to look like tomorrow. Oliver Bjorkstrand's going on that 2nd line, right? With Hagel and Cirelli?
Has to be. Has to be. He's an offensive punch that's going to find his way onto that.
Right. So it's that. Now, where does Yanni go? Is Yanni at the point in his career where he is a 4th line guy? Is he a guy that you can put there on the 3rd line? Because one thing that we didn't see in this deal, because the name that we were talking about was, could they move a guy like Gage Gonsalves? Is that a guy that could be on his way out? No, he doesn't move in this deal. So does Yanni go on the 4th line now? Because you're going to put Zemgus now in. Listen, he's been busting his ass there on that 2nd line, right? I mean, he's not a 2nd line player, right? He can't score with a 2nd line guy. He's not a top 6 guy. But man, he's been trying and he's getting opportunities, right? So it's pretty wild. But I think he goes back down in the 4th line with Glendening. Do we see a 4th line of Gourde, Glendening, and Gergensons? And do you keep that Paul Chaffee Gonsalves line together? What do you think, Double E?
Yeah, it's a good question. It is the bottom 6 now that you look at. Like if you're using Gourde at center,
that's the other point, right?
Yeah,
is he a center? Is he a wing? Because right, I don't think he plays center on the 4th line.
No,
because
you're not moving
Glendening
out.
And because Glendening is such a fantastic guy in the faceoff circle. Now, one thing I said earlier today, I don't think I said it when you were on with me. I had this conversation with Brian Engblom yesterday and with Phil Esposito yesterday. And the one thing that they were worried about, not worried about, but one thing that they said about the need for the Lightning to make this deal is that there needs to be some kind of consistency with where Nick Paul plays on this team. He needs to either be a winger And if he's going to be a winger, he's got to be on the left side, not the right, which he plays when it's Hagel and Cirelli, or he's got to be the third line center because it's just too much moving around, too much bouncing around. And you can see that's why there's some inconsistency with this play. He's just playing a different position. So if you bring Gourde in here, I think you bring him in to be your third line center, right? And you move Nick Paul to the left wing. You keep Chafee there at the, do you bump Chafee down then and move Gonsalves to the other side? That's a tough call. But I think you bring Gourde in to be your third line center because I don't see why you would bring him in to be your fourth line left winger, right? Does that make sense?
I would think the opposite here.
Okay.
Just because a lot of centers later in their career move to the wing.
That's true. See about Stammer.
Right. And you like size down the middle. And certainly Paul has that advantage there. I talk to people who believe that Paul is more effective in the middle.
Okay.
Especially for a big guy, there's more constant motion. So there's not a lot of starting and stopping. When you're in that center position and with Paul moving his feet, I think he's probably better suited for that situation. So maybe you move, Gourde to the wing, and then you have, like we've seen in the past, you have two guys who can take faceoffs on a line, right? There's many times over the past number of years, they've tried to put two guys on a line that can take a faceoff. So my thought process would be, you keep Paul with Gonsalves, again, depending on whether they keep Gonsalves up and what they do with him. But I would have a third line with Gourde, Paul, and Gonsalves, and then you have you kind of go back to what the fourth line was a good portion of the year, and that was Glendening, Chafee, and Gergensons. That would be my thought. We'll find out tomorrow morning at the morning skate. But if I were to talk out loud and think this through, I would think Gourde moves to the wing because it's easier for a center to move to the wing.
We love you talking out loud here on the program, buddy. We definitely want to hear what's going on. Anybody else hitting you up to come on the show today?
The boys from Lead the Thunder reached out, but
you're a busy guy. Oh, you got soccer tonight.
I have soccer. Yeah, I have. I do some soccer ref, and I have a game actually at 6:00 in Plant City. So, and they're actually talking about Julian being available here in the next hour. So we'll see how things kind of go. We're there.
If that's the case, then I will definitely try to make it on there. Before I let you go, I mean, man, look at how many people are tuned in right now. 843 people on Twitter right now, 47 on YouTube. Now is a perfect time to let everybody know to sign up for lightninginsider.com. Use that promo code JNZ right there. This is the reason why, guys. We've been telling you that for years. When the Lightning make moves like this, when the Lightning get closer and closer to being in the postseason and trying to make a long playoff run, you want to hear what Erik has to say. So lightninginsider.com, use that promo code JNZ. And I just got that same message. Julian going to talk in an hour-ish at the arena. I don't know if we can't make it to the arena, right? Is it going to be on Zoom?
I don't know, because I got to be out in Plant City by 5:30. So, and I have to have my son with me because he's reffing with me. So,
dang it.
So we'll see. I'm going to try and get out there, and hopefully I'll just have to race back.
Oh my God, look at you. All right, last thing we're seeing from Pierre LeBrun here. AJ said it. Seattle retained half of it. Detroit retained 50% after that. So the Bolts only on the hook for 70 or 25% of this deal. This is another huge coup and probably another reason why the price was so steep, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, Gourde's contract is 5.1. I think is what his contract value is. So and it's good. It's the remaining value of it, right? So you're only taking in 25% of the remaining value. I will see where Detroit ends up, what they get for being a broker in this deal. But we see this as a sort of a common thing around the NHL right now to make these deals work is to retain some salary. And I'm glad that the two sides, the PA and the NHL, could come together in the CBA and make this allowable, because it allows some of these trades that would not be able to go through, especially over the past number of years where the cap has been flat, where it's hard for teams to make these type of deals. So good on the league for making this happen. And getting Yanni Gourde I'm not going to try and do math on the fly, but a much cheaper number Yeah, talking through things is not strength when it comes to math. But
so it's 5.1, you said, right?
Yeah, 5.1. So you're talking 25% of the remaining value for however many days are left on the NHL schedule season. So it's got to be under $2 million, right? Half would be 2.5. On that, it's like, yeah.
So 1.275, that would be the entire deal for the entire season.
Yeah.
And then there's how many games left?
The Lightning have 31?
No, not
31. 21. See, math on the fly, not my strength.
That's about a quarter of the deal, right? So we'll just say a quarter of that then. So they're on the hook for right around $315,000 for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you understand why this makes sense. Yeah.
That's why
again they give up a lot. They give up a lot, but
yeah, they did. But I mean, if you're that's pennies when it comes to what the guy can bring. I mean, I know that value is a lot when you're talking about getting rid of draft picks, but when you're talking about what the impact could be to pay that little for Yanni Gourde and to be able to get, Oliver Bjorkstrand, I mean, I don't think that's a bad deal because you're not getting just Ollie for this season. You're getting for next year too, ready?
Yeah. And again, when you look at the history of some of the deals that Julian's made, he tries to find players that have some term left, right? Obviously, Savard was a rental last year because of cap situations. Dumba and Duclair were both rentals, but Coleman and Goudreau both had years left on their deals, and Hagel still had, I think, 2 years left on his deal before he signed his extension. So it just falls right in line with the moves that Julian has made over the past number of years, and getting that second year of a Bjorkstrand, which means you get 2 playoff opportunities with a player like him. That's the big part of this. It's not a rental situation with Bjorkstrand. So that's huge. And, he was a Lightning killer back in those days with Columbus. So it'll be nice to have him be a Lightning helper in this situation.
Lastly, I asked you a little bit before about possibility of making another move. Does them with the money when it comes to Yanni Gourde and paying that little of his salary, do you think that affects how the Lightning attack the rest of this trade deadline? Like if they had to take the entire deal for Yanni Gourde the rest of the way, we know how much it was, right? But if we know that they're only doing, 300,000 of it, does that mean that they're open for business still, possibly open for business still? Because you got to think too, if they're going to be open for business, they didn't trade any of their prospects. They didn't trade any of the defensemen. So I think by having that and having Seattle and Detroit retain some of that salary, I mean, that only helps them in the efforts of if they want to make another acquisition.
Yeah, let me tell you, if they can get out of this trade deadline making these type of acquisitions, and like we said, we still think they're in the market for a defenseman, and you don't have to part ways with a Isaac Howard, a Dylan Duke, a Connor Geekie, Ethan Gauthier, who's still in junior, who they're pretty high on. It's going to be a win-win situation. So we can talk about losing the first round draft picks and the second round draft picks. Sure. You don't know who those players are going to be. You don't know what they're going to turn into, but you know who you have right now in some of your top prospects in Geekie and Gauthier and Howard and these guys. You know what you have. You saw Dylan Duke come up. You saw Jack Finley come on. We don't talk a lot about Jack Finley, but 6'6" center who's had some injury situations in his career, can be a good bottom six type of forward moving forward. What they can do with him. So if just draft capital and maybe a player or two off your roster, in the case of Eyssimont, that's a huge win, I think, if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan.
You got that right. LightningInsider.com, Erik Erlendsson, Erik_Erlendsson. That's a K, not a C, 2 S's after the D. LightningInsider.com. I said it before, I'll say it again. Now is the time to sign up. This is the time of year. Nobody knows the Lightning like our guy, Erik Erlendsson. Appreciate you, brother. Use that promo code JNZ, $10 off, not just this year, but every recurring season. Appreciate you, Double E.
All right, bud. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, pal.
Happens.
Or when?
Or sooner, who knows what happens.
That's right, man. If they make another deal at midnight, we might have to go on air again. See you, pal.
Yeah. All right, bud.
All right. Nate. Wow. What an incredible series of events. I go from one part of the city to the other part of the city, and we are here now again. JBB makes the deal. He sends Mikey Eyssimont 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick to Seattle for Yanni Gourde, Oliver Bjorkstrand, and a 5th-round pick. I mean, to me, you look at the fact that he didn't trade any of the big time prospects, and he still has some salary room. He's still got, if you want to move a player, do you want to move a Crozier? Do you want to move a Perbix? You want to move a Gonzalez or a Chafee? You can do that. So it's exciting to be able to see what the Lightning are doing here. And listen, if they can go out there and they can get Alex Tuch, maybe that's another guy. Because you bring in Bjorkstrand, and for those of you just joining us, and thank you, Ryan B. I love you, buddy. What an incredible turnout we had to the Facebook Live here. We're going to start doing this for breaking news in the Tampa Bay area a lot more. We'll go over the lines again. So tomorrow night at Amalie Arena, the Lightning are back in action. So if you are a Lightning fan and you're going to see them playing Buffalo, this is what the 4 lines are probably going to look like. You're going to see Braden Point on the first line with, I just want to make sure. Okay, just looking at some of the logistics of the deal, blah, blah, blah. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, I did. All right, so these are the lines that you're going to see tomorrow night. You're going to see the first line. You're going to see Braden Point. You're going to see Nikita Kucherov on the right. You're going to see Jay Kentz on the left. Your second line for tomorrow night's game, you're going to see Brandon Hagel on the left. You're going to see Anthony Cirelli at center. And you're going to see the brand new Oliver Bjorkstrand at right wing. Third line, and this is what Eric said, you're going to see Gage Gonsalves on the right. You're going to see Nick Paul at center. And you're going to see Yanni Gourde at left wing. Fourth line, Gergensons goes back down there. He'll be on the left side. Chafee will be on the right. Luke Glendening will be in the middle. And asking if it's confirmed, as it's true, we just got reached out, we just got communicated to by the Lightning that Julian Breezeball will be speaking within the hour. So, yes, I would say yes, because he wouldn't be speaking if the deal wasn't going through. And then when you have all these different names like Pierre LeBrun and Frank Saravalli and Elliot Friedman and everybody confirming it, yes, we can confirm here that it is true. But ideally, if you're the Bolts, I think you even want to shoot higher than Oliver Bjorkstrand. I think you want to try to get another guy that can score maybe even a little bit more as your second line right winger. And then ideally, your third line will be Nick Paul, Yanni Gourde, and Oliver Bjorkstrand. So keep an eye out for that. Let's not forget, Connor Geehy, still in the AHL. I like what I saw from Dylan Duke, and I know a lot of you as well when they were winning that game up there in Detroit against the Red Wings a couple of weeks ago, and who I think should be on this team when the college season is over, and that's Isaac Howard. You're not going to hear better Lightning talk than you did today with my guy, Erik Erlendsson, and myself. It's just not going to happen. Sorry. No disrespect to anybody else. But Isaac Howard coming here changes the entire game. If Isaac Howard can come here and play on that second line or play on that third line, think about how deep this team is going to be. Defensively, I think the Lightning go out and get a left-handed shot. I think they get a Mario Ferraro. That was a guy that I said that they should get last year. Don't be surprised if they go get like a Joel Edmondson or a Brian Dumoulin or some kind of veteran that can either skate or be a big body, a physical presence on the blue line, a defender, a max defender. Shout out to Channel 8. Max Defender 8. If they get a defender and they get another forward, I think the sky's the limit for this team. Watch out, not just teams in the Eastern Conference, but in the entire National Hockey League. All right, this is why you want to like and subscribe, okay? Oh, wait, this is the best tweet ever announcing Yanni Gourde's home. What the heck is that? That's so funny. Yeah, this is so cool. All right, hold up. This is great. All right, you guys want to see this? This is hilarious. This is what the Lightning admin. You win with this one, right? Here we go. Watch this. You guys ready? Here we go. Oh, that's so cool. We love Yanni. I'm so happy. You know, Yanni Gourde almost hit me with his car one time when I was on Harbor Island. Yeah. He was like, Jay, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's all right, buddy. You're good. You are good. Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I love you all. Thank you so much. Again, follow me on all social media platforms at Jay Retcher. I got to go do my job at USF, so I'm not going to be there at Amalie Arena to talk to Julien Brisebois. If it would have happened an hour before, I would have been kind of there. I could have stopped by and then came here, but I can't do that right now as it is. But we will hear from Julien Brisebois. I'm not going to save that because you guys are going to be able to see it. They're going to post it on their social media. But if another deal happens, you know we're going to go live, Erik Erlendsson and myself. And if the Lightning make another deal on a Friday after the show, we might do a trade deadline special as well. So keep an eye out for that. Like and subscribe on YouTube, guys. Days like today are the most important time to do so because you get that notification when I go live, and you want to be in the know when things like this happen. All right, I got to get ready for USF, the softball team, as they take on Siena. Go Bolts, go Bulls. I love you more. I love you all. Live from Amalie Arena tomorrow at noon. And I'll have a video and I'll have an interview one-on-one with Yanni Gourde. Better believe it. And Oliver Bjorkstrand as well. Well, maybe not a one-on-one, but we'll definitely talk to him. Love you guys. Peace out. Go Bolts. Go Bulls.